Terry McGaughey is the impresario of the Paul Bunyan Trail. He is the godfather, the midwife, the founding father, the orchestrator of, the nurturer of the Paul Bunyan Trail, and it started 27 years ago when he saw the demise coming of the Burlington Northern Railroad and set out on a personal mission to engage the communities along the trail to save the right-of-way, to make it an investment for the future of the communities all along the trail, to save it for the present generation and for children and future generations. It took a little persuading. People at first didn't want to have these bikers, they thought. People who might have an alternative lifestyle or who might be troublemakers. But eventually, every one of the 16 communities along or affected by the right-of-way of the railroad and what is now the Paul Bunyan Trail signed up and supported Terry. And community citizen groups rose up in support of the trail. City councils voted overwhelmingly in support of developing the trail. He worked the legislature assiduously in support of funding under the Land Conservation Fund programs, the Minnesota conservation programs. He won legislative support not only from the immediate trail area, but from legislators in the Twin Cities, in northern Minnesota, and southwestern, southeastern Minnesota. He built a coalition, a citizen coalition that has prevailed. And now, from the original concept of Merrifield to Bach and Hackensack, we have 100 miles of trail connecting all the way through the Chippewa National Forest to Bemidji. And what we're seeing now is the completion of the Mesabi Trail on the Mesabi Iron Range, the Vermilion Trail on the Vermilion Iron Range up near Ely, and the beginnings of the Cuyuna Range Trail, the Cuyuna Lakes Trail. Several segments are already completed, and others are under development. Others are in the planning stage. We will, in time, connect the 3 iron ranges of Minnesota. We'll connect the geologic history of this region. We'll connect the economic history and evolution of northeastern Minnesota, and the ethnic history, which is linked by the Slovenes, Croatians, Serbs, Swedes, Finns, Norwegians, the Irish, who are always the police, and connect all of that in a 235-mile trail that will be unsurpassed, unparalleled anywhere in America. Now, every year we have a great many participants, but from practically the beginning, Gary Shilquist of Quality Bike Products has been with us, and also Lewis Moore of then Congressman Sabo's staff. Excuse me, Lewis is making his way here. He arrived just a little bit later and was getting his bike in condition, and he'll be along in a moment. But he and others founded the Major Taylor Riding Group in Minneapolis. Major Taylor was the first significant African-American bicyclist at the turn of the 20th century, 1900 to 1910. And he was not allowed to ride with groups. He was not allowed to stay in the same hotels, but he whipped them all on the road. He was an extraordinary competitive cyclist, and had he been able to participate in the Tour de France, he'd have been a winner of the Tour de France. Acclaimed as one of America's greatest bicyclists, a competitive road cyclist. And Lewis and other African-American riders in the Twin Cities founded the Major Taylor Riding Group. and they have for years come and participated in the Paul Bunyan Trail ride and are a major reason that we have such a large contingent of people from the Twin Cities driving up to the trailhead, parking their cars, getting their bikes out, riding the trail, stopping at the bed and breakfasts, at the cafes, and shopping in the stores all along the route. And a reason why the ridership went from 40,000 users in 1997 to 650,000 users of this trail last year. That's an extraordinary achievement. But among those is Gary Showquist. And Gary, from Quality Bike Products, I should tell you that QBP is the supplier of bicycle parts to retail bicycle outlets. They started literally in the garage of Steve and Mary Flagg, who were mechanics at Penn Cycle. And they decided, well, maybe we could do our own business. And they began manufacturing parts and acquiring parts and supplying them to bicycle retailers for maintenance of bicycles. And the business grew and grew, and now they have a massive warehouse with a huge automated facility that serves 6,700 retail outlets in the United States and in Europe and in the Pacific every day. So today, unfortunately, Gary couldn't be with us. He was sponsoring a forum somewhere else. But he said Tuesday of this past week, Quality Bike Products set an all-time record for sales in one day, $2.2 million. We've set many records this year for sales. All across the U.S., cyclists are taking to the streets and the trails, and the bicycle industry is having a good year. Please thank all the people gathered for shopping at bicycle retailers and riding their bikes. You can remind people that what I always say, on the way home, stop at a bike shop and buy something expensive, because it probably came from Quality Bike Products. and that is the truth. $2 million they've expanded to Ogden, Utah, have a distribution center out there, and are just growing extraordinarily. What he didn't say is that last year also was a milestone for bicycling. All these trails, 37,000 lane miles of bicycle trails all across America that came from my initiation of the funding of bicycling out of the Highway Trust Fund, not out of general revenues, out of the Highway Trust Fund. Last year, more bicycles were sold in the United States than automobiles. 12 million bikes and 9 million cars. We're in the process of converting America from the hydrocarbon society to the carbohydrate society. And with our safe routes to school, and I see these folks out here with their petition, their right to speak, and that's fine. But I want them to understand that these trails are an investment in America's future, an investment in our children's future, and it's coming out of the Highway Trust Fund, not out of the general revenues, and Paul Coring knows that. Thank you, Paul, Senator, for coming, and thank you, John Ward, for coming and representing this area so well in the state legislature. We have 7,000 schools participating in Safe Routes to School, changing the habits of an entire generation, moving children from sedentary lifestyle to active lifestyle, to turn back this epidemic of childhood type 2 diabetes that is a destructive force in our economy. We're saving the lives of the future and changing the habits all across America by engaging children in biking, walking, an active lifestyle, and a better healthy lifestyle, and lower health costs for all of America. If we can defeat type 2 diabetes, which we know can be done by active lifestyles, we will save billions of dollars to our economy.